How are you?
Hello, everybody. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Bloomington Liquor Commission to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes, here.
Commissioner Meister?
Here.
Commissioner Renner?
Here. Thank you very much. Excuse me for just a second. I need to put my earplugs on here. Okay. At this point, do we have any public comment, Madam Clerk?
No, we haven't had anyone register for public comment.
Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. And on the consent agenda, we've got minutes from the January 12th, 2021 Liquor Commission
Excuse me,
meeting.
Mayor?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but just for the record, I know that there may be some limited public attendance available. Do we know that no one there, that there's no one there physically who wants to make public comment?
Well, we do have people who are here physically, but Amanda, nobody has filled out any paperwork? Okay. All right,
No.
thank you.
All right.
So
Sounds
we
good.
have.
Sorry for the interruption.
Sure. Minutes from January 12th and February 9th, 2021. Are there any corrections or concerns about these, or is there a motion to approve as presented by one of the liquor commissioners?
I'll make a motion that we approve them as they're submitted.
Moved by Commissioner Jordan. Is there a second?
My second.
Second by Commissioner Meiser. Thank you. At this point, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes,
Commissioner Meister?
Yes.
Commissioner Renner?
Yes, thank you very much. The minutes will stand. We move to our regular agenda under item 5A, public hearing on Iron Coyote Challenge Park at 4113 East Oakland, requesting a change classification from a class RBS liquor license. And at this point, I'm going to turn to Mr. Boyle. Any clarifications here or any concerns?
Well, we don't have any concerns in terms of there have not been any violations, alleged at the place or any difficulties that at least the legal department is aware of. And I'm not saying that to imply that other departments know. I'm just saying we have no concerns. I will point out that per the liquor code in section 6-109, it states that the city council shall not allow a change in license classification unless it finds a change in classification is necessary for the public convenience of the residents of the city and is in the best interest of the city of Bloomington. And then it says that in deciding the change of license classification, the city council and in making our recommendation, the commission shall consider the factors set forth in section 6-106 of the chapter, which is the same, essentially, the same factors that are considered for a creation of license, and that the council can impose such conditions as it may consider appropriate for the license. So just a little bit about background. And then also this is a change in classification from a restaurant, beer and wine only Sunday sales, to an entertainment, all kinds of alcohol sales. And so there's one difference, of course, is the emphasis on sports as opposed to food. The other difference is the ability to serve all kinds of spirits as opposed to just beer and wine.
Right.
And legal has no concerns and specific to this place, nor have there been any violations from this licensee.
Great. And essentially the entertainment license was created about 6 years ago. I think George and I and others worked on this, and it was initially aimed for the BCPA, of course, and the Coliseum and other venues like Castle Theater. And so I'm going to turn to the applicants. Are the one of the petitioners, are you here? Okay. Aaron Williams, did you want to add anything to clarify or anything you want to add to this?
Commissioner Renner, I'll need to swear her in.
Oh, okay, of course. Thank you very much.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear firmly to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Great. Again, just Aaron, if you could just tell us a little bit about the your business model and why this is necessary.
Sure. If you wanna.
So basically we.
Oh, excuse me. If you're going to we're going to have to swear you in too then.
That'll
Sorry.
work.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Please state your name. For the record.
Derek Williams.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're Aaron. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, I'm Derek.
Derek
Yeah,
Williams.
the only thing that,
We're in the,
insofar
we're,
as,
we're in the midst of taking the oath. Just hold on, George. Thanks.
go ahead.
Please state your name one more time.
Derek Williams.
Derek Williams. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Boyle, what do you want to add?
No, that's fine. I just want one witness at a time and then to be
Right.
sworn in, so that's
Right.
fine. We have no
We
problem
just-
with that.
Correct.
Go ahead.
Okay, so both of you are sworn and so you can certainly answer any questions that either myself or a corporate counsel or our liquor commissioners have to ask. So, Mr. Williams, go ahead.
So basically, we've been operating with beer and wine, and we just had a lot of requests for a mixed drink every once in a while with different events that we've had. So through a couple of events recently that we've had, we bring in another license to serve alcohol, and we didn't have any issues, but we were utilizing the other people's licenses for these special events. So we just figured it'd be best for us to manage everything in-house
Sure.
and just easier to take responsibility ourselves. And
Okay. All right. Questions from our liquor commissioners. At this point, we know staff doesn't have any concerns. Questions from Mr. Jordan?
I suppose, what's the purpose of increasing the license classification from where you've been to where you want to go?
So basically, yeah, like I just said, we've been serving beer and wine, and then we've had requests for mixed drinks, and we just kind of wanted to provide for the demand. And at these events, like a lot of the vendors we were bringing in, they're asking about it. So we never sold liquor, we couldn't, so we have always bring in another licensee to help us out.
As far as the serving of the spirits, are all the folks that are actually doing the serving, are they qualified through, help me out, Mayor, if you would.
Acid training?
Bassett.
Pass it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Is this license in both of your names or just one? Both?
Okay.
I can't, yeah, I was more concerned about, and I guess you've answered the question, is the fact that there's been a request by your patrons. What number of clientele do you think you deal with is it a weekly or a daily basis?
That are interested in liquor
Well,
sales?
yeah, just in general, what's your capacity as far as how many people you think will be utilized?
Today, or are we talking about 7 months ago, pre-COVID?
Well, I grant you that's another issue. Is this going to help your situation, or is it going to be? Is it a reason why we're considering increasing the license itself?
Honestly, it's just to take, like I said, so we can have all the responsibility under our umbrella whenever we are having events, and we don't need to bring third parties in. It's, as far as revenue goes, we're just, I don't think we're going to do too much liquor sales, and it is more of a convenience thing.
Okay, are you currently doing video gaming there?
No,
Do you have any intention of doing that?
I mean, we've talked about it, but we haven't gone down that path at all.
Okay.
And we've also hit the maximum of the ordinance of limits in Bloomington anyway.
All right, I don't have any other questions.
Lindsay?
Jim pretty much asked all the questions. I definitely can understand why you guys would want your own license. It doesn't, to have to rely upon someone else's entertainment license. That doesn't make sense as a business owner if you could have your own. So it's definitely understandable. And seeing that you've had no issues, since you guys opened, and I've heard nothing but great things that come from Iron Coyote. So I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. So no issues for me.
Oh, is that a motion, Commissioner?
I motion to
Could I,
approve. If
just-
George left
could I
it-
ask a couple questions for the record on?
Oh, you want, just a second. You can still ask him after we make the motion.
Sure. Uh-huh.
Commissioner Lindsay Meister, sorry.
I motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Depending on what George is going to ask, I suppose I
Okay,
could.
well, I'll go ahead and make the second, and then we'll see what,
All right.
we'll continue the
All right,
debate. George, go ahead. We have a motion and a
That's fine.
second. George,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm just wondering, could you describe the activities that take place at Iron Coyote in terms of, what are what's the sports element of it?
So we're a Ninja Warrior style gym. If you've ever seen the American Ninja Warrior on TV, we have a lot of the same elements that you see on that show. Also, we have a ropes course that's above those obstacles, which is obstacles in and of itself, where it's a harnessed activity. So you're jumping in a harness and you're going through various obstacles in a harness. And it's a lot of climbing features. So that's basically the gist of it. But I do want to let you know that while we're talking about alcohol sales here, as far as our entertainment and our activities, we don't allow anybody to do any type of activities if they drink any type of alcohol at all, whether it's one drink.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get at, just, because I know that there may be other questions that may come up, before the council or whatever. So I'm trying to just kind of lay a record as to what steps or precautions the establishment takes to separate the alcohol, people who are imbibing from those who are doing the climbing, etc.
Yeah, in all honesty, the requests are coming from mom and dad. That's here just hanging out while the kids are playing.
So you,
Kind of like Chuck E. Cheese,
Exactly what Chuck E. Cheese.
except you're not like Chuck E. Cheese. I've been there.
Yeah.
And it's very rigorous, and I applaud you. It's a great establishment, by the way. See, Jim, did you have a follow-up before we?
well, I think George kind of hit on it, that there is some concern. How do you separate who has consumed and who has not?
So we do that through a wristband process. You're not allowed to do any activities unless you have a wristband on. Likewise, you're not allowed to drink any alcohol if you have a wristband on. So if you have a wristband on and you want to purchase alcohol, we then have to cut it off and you're no longer allowed to do any activities.
So you're saying if I would come in and you'd put a wristband on me and I participate in the climbing or whatever, and then I say, well, cut this off, and then you can serve me if I'm old enough, I meet the requirement.
That's right. But unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to go do any more activities after you take that wristband off.
All right, I'm following you. Okay. I think
Okay.
it stands as is.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, at this point, we do have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Meister,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes, thank you very much. Motion carries. And then this would come, Madam Clerk, roughly, do we have an idea? Would be the
First meeting of April.
first meeting of April. Thank you very much, and good luck to you. Appreciate everything. At this point, we move to item B, and this is a public hearing and action and a request from Casper Brewing Company. And this is at 3807 Valley Bunyan Road. And they're requesting a class TBPS, Tavern Beer and Wine Only Package Sunday Sales license. And at this point, Madam Clerk, do we have a representative here?
Yes, we have Mr. Casper here.
Mr. Casper, if you could unmute yourself and we can swear you in, please.
Unmuted.
Awesome.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear firm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little about your business model and give us a little background, Mr. Casper?
Sure. My business model is first and foremost family friendly. I plan on opening up a brewery where parents are encouraged to come with their children. There will be things for them to do. So that way mom and dad could spend maybe an hour returning back to husband and wife, where they can look each other in the eye and also keep an eye on their children and enjoy just a chance to reconnect. Simultaneously allowing their children to have activities such as coloring, chalkboard, balloon animals, face painting, and that sort of thing. Just a real nice family environment where the kids can run around on the green and produce something that Bloomington needs and does not have at the moment.
Thank you. Questions from our liquor commissioners, Mr. Jordan or Ms. Meister?
All right. I guess my concern with that format that you just explained, it seems to me like you're targeting the children and then you're supplementing it to accommodate the adults. Is that a fair statement?
I'm targeting children in what way? I only mean to have something for them to do while their parents are there.
Well, I mean, but the priority I'm understanding is the kids, right?
Yeah, providing some place for them to go. I don't know how old your kids are, if you have any kids, but I know that when we go out to a restaurant, we feel like we're sitting on a time bomb waiting for how long our 2-year-old will give us to enjoy ourselves until, you know, they have a meltdown and we got to go. If there's something for them to do, we might be able to extend that and enjoy ourselves a little bit longer.
Well, I think what I'm getting at is it seems to me that your primary focus is the kids and the secondary focus is to serve alcohol to the adults if they choose to participate.
That's a fair statement.
I think maybe we're crossing a line that maybe would cause the council concern that we're trying to avoid getting that combination as a prelude to where the kids and the adult, the focus of this whole thing, it seems to me like it's for the kids. And if the adults want to participate in that particular activity, I think there are places that adults can get whatever they want as far as beverage or consumption. I have a little problem with the fact that the primary focus is for kids.
Commissioner, I think I might have given you the wrong impression. I'm not targeting kids. My market is parents, adults who can drink and want to drink beer and happen to have children. There just will happen to be things for the kids to do while their parents come. I don't have a business model that's like, you know, the prior business that just went on where their primary focus is giving their kids something to do. There won't be that kind of business model. It's a brewery first and foremost, with a place with fun things for kids to do if parents so happen to bring them. That's the true business model.
Well, then
I don't
maybe
mean to lead you to believe that I'm doing something negative to the minds or indoctrinating our kids in one shape, way, or form or another.
No, I'm not suggesting it. I guess what I'm trying to get at is if your primary focus is a brewery, that's an adult situation. I think that's a fair statement. And usually, if that's what you're saying, that you got accommodations for children, maybe we ought to go after the idea of what's the capacity? How many? What's the seating capacity for your establishment?
Less than 100.
And when you divide that up, as far as how much of that area is donated for the children to do their activities, as you put it?
I would guess maybe 20%. I mean, the things that we'll have out for kids will take up some space for sure. You know, balloon animals, face painting, board games, that sort of thing. It would be no different than, say, going to Flingers and having pizza and having beer with maybe just more coloring and chalkboard stuff for kids to do.
Well, they're primarily a restaurant that does serve, granted, but their primary focus is pizza. I mean, it's a restaurant primarily. That's what they have.
Yeah, and my primary focus would be serving craft beer.
Right.
And Mr. Casper, so the only thing that you'll be serving at the brewery is beer. Will you have food at the brewery or no?
I will not.
No.
I'm not interested. That's not where my passion lies.
Okay.
And so you're seeking a tavern license, is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
Beer and wine only.
Okay.
A
Mr.
couple
Boyle,
things here.
you have a question?
Yeah, well, I wanted to just make an observation, and this does not necessarily address all of Commissioner Jordan's concerns, but I will point out that our tavern license does allow children to provided that they're accompanied by parents or guardians.
Right. Thank you.
Just as a matter of clarification. I understand that Commissioner Jordan may have some broader concerns, but with respect to it being prohibited by our ordinance, certainly that is not the case.
Yeah, and I have no
Yeah.
intention whatsoever of allowing anybody under the age to not be attended by an adult who is of age.
Gotcha. Okay. Anything else?
And I would also say that just pointing out, and I believe Mr. Casper has an attorney, Ms. House, is available also to.
Yes, I see her online. At this point, unless there are any questions further, is there a motion to approve, to send, well, to recommend to the council, send to the council? That would go in April, correct? Thank you.
Well, I got to be fair about this. It just seems to me we're crossing a line that, and on one hand, it's an adult setting that is encouraging families for people to bring their children. And I think we're mixing two situations that I realize that, common sense would dictate that you're not going to be giving alcohol to children, but then again, I don't know. I think I have a little problem with that. I got to be fair about it. I really
Well,
do.
Commissioner Jordan, as a rebuttal, all I want to say is that for people who are sitting home because they can't afford a babysitter, but they would very much like to go out, spend an hour with their family, but they can't because of a babysitter or issues similar to that. I merely just want to provide a venue where mom and dad can reconnect, and they just happen to have their children there, and they'll happen to have things to do. I'm afraid that this is being put under the light of I'm trying to draw children in and then their parents, and there happens to be beer. That's not at all what this is about. This is, this is very common.
Isn't this a little like Distill, except maybe you've got some activities for kids?
If you took Distill's restaurant away, we would be almost identical, except I'd be way smaller.
Okay, gotcha.
I think that's the key. If you take the restaurant aspect away, then that changes the idea of it. So basically what you're offering is consumption of alcohol by adults, and the kids got something to do. Is that fair?
If that's true, then you would have to say that Distill is more known for their food than their beer.
Oh, I don't know if I could. I suppose you could probably look and see what their sales are. I don't know, but
my point being is people go to Distill not for their restaurant. It's a brewery who happens to have food and things for kids to do.
Right. Well, and of course there are two of them. There's the Distill restaurant, and then there is the brewery. And I've been to both, especially the brewery. The brewery is, it's basically a brewery that serves you food. I think that's a pretty safe statement. Now, of course, they're not in Bloomington, but I think that's the idea.
Yeah, you're right, Mayor. I agree. I just, like I said, I just have a little trouble with the fact I think we're crossing a line that, and I guess I'll leave it up to the wisdom of the council to decide if this is in the best interest of the community based on the format. If you would just come and say, I want to have a brewery, and it doesn't violate any statute, then I'm not sure you have to worry about whether or not you have to explain why you're having children in there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, at this point, then, we have those. We'll have your concerns noted for the record. Again, at this point, we don't have a motion. Is there a motion? Are either liquor commissioners willing to send this forward?
I would make a motion to approve. I don't view it the way that Commissioner Jordan is viewing this. I think what Mr. Casper is trying to say is that, the breweries that we have in Bloomington right now, Little Beaver and Keg Grove, you don't necessarily bring children to those places. And what he's trying to say is, and I've been to both places, there's not activities for children to do there. So I don't think that people are bringing their kids. I don't know how many people are actually going to bring their kids to, Mr. Casper's brewery, but I think I understand what he's saying in that he wants to give the opportunity that if you do want to bring your children, that there are these activities. And I think that's different than what the other two breweries are doing. And so I have a hard time saying no and giving him an opportunity. So I make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and second that. Any other comments before we vote?
I have several questions about the premises that I'd either like Mr. Casper to address or Ms. Haas.
But just
I don't think
just on just
we
on
haven't
terms of the
even
premises,
discussed them.
just to clarify, Mr. Boyle, they have to meet all health and safety regulations and correct anyway,
Yes.
regardless of what we do.
My concern revolves around adjoining licenses and delineating which licensees are responsible for which places,
I see. Go ahead.
which is related to responsibility for the control of the product and health and dram shop insurance. I'm not saying they can't be answered. I think they can be answered, but I think they should be made a part of the record.
Yeah, of course. Well, go ahead.
Okay, so with that in mind, Mr. Casper, can you describe then the premises that you would be responsible for in terms of serving the product? And
Yes,
if there's an issue with that, feel free to have Ms. Haas sworn in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can answer these. At the current moment, Bally Bunyan, 3807 Bally Bunyan has a liquor license for the ability for them to provide a can of beer and say a cooler to their golfers. I am going to provide a service that is no different than any other microbrewery in town, where if somebody wanted to get a crowler, which is a can of beer, and take it home or take it on the golf course, that's fine. I do not plan on driving around a golf court and selling to the golfers. That's not in my purview. It's not in my scope of a business plan at this present time. So really, I will be doing nothing out of the norm than any other microbrewery in terms of leading with packaged beer. However, I will say that the current license holder for that property is relinquishing theirs upon me being granted one.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr.
so
Boyle,
with
you have
respect
something
to
else?
that,
I'm sorry.
so you'll be serving with the tap room, and then people also can buy. You'll be getting a package license so that if people want a crawler or something like that, they can take it from the establishment.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, George. If you got something, I got one question.
Yeah,
Go
okay.
ahead.
George, go ahead, and then I'll come back to Commissioner Jordan.
Okay. And with regard to that, I don't know if we have the license holder you were talking about. Are you talking about the license holder from the links?
Yeah, he's on this meeting as we speak.
Good. We may want, just as a matter of the record, we may want to, have him.
But only if
confirm
that's
what you're
relevant
saying.
to approving this. I don't know that that's terribly relevant for us approving this.
Well, I would rather have the record than have it sent back for more information.
Well, but that's not part of the application, right? We're not saying it's contingent upon somebody else giving up their liquor license.
It's not.
I can't imagine.
I agree.
Yeah. So I don't know that we need to swear them in. But do you have anything else, Mr. Boyle?
No, I think we've pretty much
Commissioner
covered it.
Jordan? Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, how did we get from a brewery and involving the children? I don't know where the crossover is.
Well, I think it's just, as I understand it, and Mr. Casper, you're talking about a brewery and you're making some accommodations if people want to bring kids. And that's not inconsistent with our ordinance. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I wish I had said that as initially, so there was no more confusion or put in a bad light, because the way you just said it, Mayor Renner, is exactly what this will be. And
Okay.
I apologize if I misled anybody into thinking it was something else.
Right. No,
Does this meet the requirements, George, as far as you're concerned, from a legal standpoint of children being on premise?
I think our ordinance allows for this type of model. I will say that with respect to, brew pubs, we've either handled them through as opposed to a special license for that type of model. We've allowed them to be taverns or to have restaurant licenses. I don't have any. Bloomington doesn't have any restaurant licensed brew pubs, if you will, but there are two with tavern licenses, and as I said before, those do allow for children, provided they're accompanied by a parent or a guardian, and that is consistent with the business model that Mr. Casper was outlining.
Okay. Is that clear? Okay.
All right, you've answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Meister,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes, thank you very much. And good luck to you. And
Very much.
we look forward to seeing how your business unfolds. At
Appreciate
this
it.
point,
Thank
we
you.
move to item C, which is sanctions hearing on a complaint and citation issued to Hurley Consolidated Enterprises, Drifters, and I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Boyle. You got an update for us?
Yes, this is a second hearing of a case that involves a citation for failure to pay taxes to the city going back to January of last year. Other than delinquency notices and the citation itself, the city does attempt to reach out to establishments to work with them towards payment of delinquent taxes. And in fact, at the same time this complaint went out, there were 4 other establishments that settled by paying their taxes by a date certain and by paying the minimum kind of first-time offender fine of $600. This establishment didn't contact the city, but did appear at the last hearing by the principal for the license holder. And she admitted at that time that the allegations in the complaint with respect to delinquent taxes were accurate. She was encouraged by the commission to contact us, and I also had said that we'd be available and open to discussing resolution of the matter. We didn't hear anything today until this afternoon, a little after 1 o'clock, and we received an email which said, and I'll read this in for the record, I just found out that I will no longer be able to attend the Liquor Commission hearing. I work a full-time job and was promised to be able to log on for the call, but that's no longer the case. I understand what this meeting is about and have already taken off tomorrow to be able to come to City Hall first thing in the morning to turn in all my tax information along with payment and late fees / extra fines. Is there any remedy for the situation? I received this a little after 2 o'clock. The clerk received it about 1:03.
Sure.
Tried to reach them by voicemail, was unable to do so. Sent an admittedly last minute email to follow up on my voicemail. Sent it about 3:25 or so. That said if we got something in a very short order, I would at least present it to the commission as a motion to continue. But I also stated that given the length of delinquency and the failure to cooperate and the last-minute nature that I, representing the city in this prosecution of the citation, would not support the motion. Well, no motion was forthcoming, albeit they had a very short time to provide it. Even styling that as a motion, we'd ask to proceed to sanctions, and I have a recommendation.
What's your recommendation, Mr. Boyle? Recommendation to
recommendation would be the highest single event fine that we could levy, which would be $3,500. That and all taxes to be paid within 30 days. If that's not done, we would ask for some further actions, which could also result in various sanctions against the license itself.
Gotcha. So just to clarify, the primary reason why you're citing the times, et cetera, are because this has been going on for quite a while, and it's only the afternoon of the Liquor Commission that you received any kind of response. Is that fair to say?
That's correct. And okay. Other establishments have taken these things much more seriously and cooperatively, and even going back to January is an anomaly. In normal times, that would not have happened.
Right.
We're usually are on something much more quickly than that.
Okay.
We've been prioritizing public health and safety, so that these are recent citations. But anyway, that's why we're recommending the highest
You're recommending
single.
a $3,500 fine in this situation. I want to turn to my liquor commissioners and see what their comments are. I'll start with Commissioner Jordan and then Commissioner Meiser. Commissioner Jordan, thoughts on that?
Are they conducting any business at all, George?
not that I'm aware of. Having said that, also, Ms. Mohan, can you confirm that there's no one representing the licensee on the line? Certainly, if there is someone on the line, I think
okay.
they should have an opportunity to
Of course.
respond.
Amanda?
I believe that Ms. Minifield has joined us.
Okay. I'm going to go to Commissioner Meister and get her thoughts, and then we'll go to one of the owners. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's unfortunate, obviously, because we're fining them such a large amount. But as George said,
May I suggest, Mayor, if there's someone from the licensee on, they should have an opportunity to respond to what I said even prior to the commissioner saying anything else.
All right, cool. Well, I just wanted to make sure that both commissioners, since I turned to one before the other,
Yeah,
I
I
wanted to make sure
understand.
that was okay. Madam Clerk, would you swear in Tanya?
Ms. Minifield,
Yes.
do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. And I wonder if you could just clarify what your response might be to what Mr. Boyle has presented to us.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not trying to be uncooperative in any sort of way. You know, this drifter, I dumped everything into this bar. Losing it this year has, you know, that was our only source, my only source of income. So, you know, having been open and closed and open and closed, you know, we haven't been open since November, since, you know, the whole, we were cited for, you know, everything back then. So a big part of a non-response is just, you know, trying to put food on the table for my family and you know, trying to make sure that I'm provided for at home. And again, I didn't mean to be uncooperative. It absolutely just took an email, a phone call for me to reach out and respond. But it comes down to finances and again, just providing for my family.
Sure. When's the last time you were open?
November, right before the students left.
I see. Okay. Mr. Boyle, any questions or response?
A few questions. You have a full-time employment now?
Yes.
And how long have you had that?
A week. I've been job searching. It's a little difficult when you are a sole proprietor.
I understand. I was just asking how long have you had it?
Okay. Let me turn to my commissioners. Commissioner Jordan or Meister, any questions?
Can I see about getting an answer to that?
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you ask?
My question is how long have you had full-time employment?
She said a week.
A week, yeah.
She said a week.
A week. Okay. And with regard to the representations in your email, you said that you would be able to pay all taxes and penalties due tomorrow. Is that what you're willing to do?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I would have a revised recommendation based on that representation.
Sure. Go ahead.
But we can wait until the commissioners ask questions, or we can proceed to that.
Okay. Well, let me see what questions Commissioner Jordan or Meister might have. Commissioner Jordan, any questions?
Oh, yeah, I think it becomes a legal issue. She's going to have to prove, I think, to the legal department and maybe to the commission that she's made all these requirements that they've placed on her to be valid. And if she pays all this, then I think the commission then can act on validating her license.
Okay. Commissioner Meister?
so if she pays all of this tomorrow, George, is she still being fined the $3,500 or?
Well, that's up to us to decide. I think George is probably going to make a slightly different recommendation. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, my recommendation would be that she'd be fined $2,500. This is the second violation for this establishment. Since they opened in 2019, there was an initial 3-month delinquency for which they paid the initial $600 fine just like anybody else, and then went on to not pay for an additional 15 months. And so although I think there should be an incentive such that we could reduce the fine if taxes are paid,
Okay.
within the amount within the time represented, and I would even say 7 days for the payment of all taxes and fees and late fees.
Okay.
If that's the case, I would urge that the fine be reduced if payments was received within 7 days for everything else to $2,500. If not, I would suggest that the fine be kept at $3,500 to be paid within 30 days.
Okay. So I understand what you're saying. Any other comments here? So what we need then is to configure this. Your recommendation is to have a $3,500 fine if taxes are not paid in 7 days, and if they're paid, then a $2,500 fine. Is that what you're
Right.
saying?
I'd probably write it differently. I would say it's a $3,500 fine to be paid in 30 days. If all taxes, fees, and penalties are paid within 7 days, that amount would be reduced to $2,500. But
Okay.
it amounts to the same thing.
Right. I see what you're saying. Any comments at this point before I ask for a motion?
Well, I guess, I think it all is all contingent upon what the legal department or the city clerk receives from the applicant before we can really vote on this.
No, I mean, I think what we're saying is if we were to establish a fine, and then let's say as long as everything is up to date within 7 days, then your fine is lowered. Is that correct, Mr. Boyle?
That's correct. Lowered
Okay.
to $2,500.
Well, let me go from
Commissioner
this end.
Jordan,
I'm sorry. Go
if
ahead.
you're concerned, I could develop the record a little further by asking Ms. Minifield a couple more questions.
Well, I think we're clear here, George. I think what I'm going to ask for a motion, see if we get this, is I think we should have a fine of $3,500, but I'm willing to cut a little bit more of a break if this is paid in the next 7 days. I would say I'll make it I would like a motion that we would say a $2,000 fine, a little extra incentive to make sure that this is paid for within the next 7 days. As long as that's certified and paid for within the next 7 days, then it's $2,000, but the fine is $3,500. We're willing to cut it down to that level. Okay, is that okay with our liquor commissioners? Any concerns about that, or is somebody willing to make that motion?
I would motion.
Okay, Jim, I'll make the second, and then Jim, go ahead and comment.
Well, no, I think we've already had issues to where they haven't been in compliance, and they've been required to submit fines. I would disagree. I think that we should keep in place the original amount that George suggested. $3,500 if it's not paid within 7 days, $2,500 if they paid that and all the fees connected to that, then I would agree with that.
Okay, all right. Anything else? All right. At this point, then, we do have a motion on the floor. The motion would be a $3,500 fine as recommended by Mr. Boyle, and $2,000 if it is paid within the next 7 days. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan,
No,
Commissioner Meister,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes, thank you very much. Motion carried. We're going to move on then to our last item, item D, Mickey's Kitchen. Mr. Boyle.
This is one that we've continued for a few months. It has allegations that another licensee was at least jointly responsible for the same premises, and there were a few tax-related issues. I will say that the licensee relinquished their license so that they're no longer in operation, that they were initially cooperative in providing the taxes. We've had some issues in contacting the licensee because of this particular individual doesn't have electronic access and also has had some illness issues. So it's similar to other times where we're going to be reaching out to this person by mail and in a socially appropriate kind of setting, going through some issues with them. We may have an agreement to bring, but at this point, I'd ask for another continuance to the next Liquor Commission
Okay.
for this, and hopefully I'll be coming back with an agreed order that the commission can look at, and if not, we'll have a hearing.
Okay. Is there a motion from liquor commissioners then to continue this to one more time to the next liquor commission meeting?
I have a question.
Oh,
Are they,
sure, of course.
they're currently not in business. In other words, they're not doing any business. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I would make a motion that we ask for one final continuance.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. Is there a second?
I second that.
Commissioner Meister. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Meister,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, George. Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate everything. At this point, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. I appreciate all your help. And we will see you at same time, same station next month, if not before. Bye.
Thank you. Mayor, I will draw up an order on the drifters issue and send it to you for your signature tomorrow.
Perfect. I'll get it back and keep after me until I do it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sounds good. Thank you.